This is not so. Maybe this is important actually. So I almost said this is not important, but actually, how should I say? When it comes to thinking of your future, what I'm going to talk about is really, abstract, or how should I say? It's really difficult to explain because it ref- it affects. So what I'm going to talk about affects affects your lives. Or what I'm going to talk about may affect your lives in long terms or in long views actually. Anyway, so hello everybody. I'm Richard Go of Walk to Live. I'm Richard Go of Walk to Live podcast version. So English is difficult for me because I'm an East Asian person and my mother tongue is really different or really distant from English language, which is a West European Germanic language, and which is why so I'm not used to speaking out English language. And to start with, in my case, I I sometimes use English language when working, but actually, so most most of not most of my works, but most of my works are proceeded using Japanese language. And by the way, my mother tongue is Japanese, and I work for a fairly huge Japanese company. Anyway, I don't tell you anything about my workplace, but actually, so this time, wait a moment, please. And what I'm going to what I'm going to do is rambling. So my mother tongue doesn't distinguish between my mother tongue doesn't distinguish the difference between L and R. So which is where rambling may become rambling or rambling. But actually, or rambling can be an option. But actually, what I'm going to talk about is what I'm going to do is rambling. And anyway, so apart from my bad pronunciation, and this time is about this time is about X-Men, and I should tell you the title and the conclusion of this episode. And the title is "You are the only one who can do the work," and the conclusion is you shouldn't become people like Wolverine in X-Men. So maybe if you live in developed countries and I'm in my thirties, and if you are in my if you are, for example, if you are around my age, or if you are, I don't know whether you know X Men. If you are in your twenties, or if you are teenagers, I don't know whether you know X Men if you are teenagers. But actually, so maybe if you are in your thirties, I think what X Men is, and one of so among media, so or broadcasting manners or broadcasting the devices, maybe X-Men of movie version is the most famous, I think. And that has been a comic, in my understanding, or there is a comic version or manga version in X-Men. But actually, so X-Men is or the movie X-Men is the most famous among the world, all over the world, which is what I think. And so the main protagonist is Wolverine. I'm sorry for my bad pronunciation. Wolverine, which has which or who is a character having a special ability, special or mute, so having a special ability or distinct ability of healing, which means so no matter how he is, he gets deeply injured or severely injured. His physical health are recovered because he has great healing ability, and inside his body is equipped adamantium, which takes place, not which takes place, or which takes the form of his bone, meaning that meaning so the bones of his shin and the bones of or the lives inside his body, and including his skull. It is are made of adamantium, which is an imaginary metal, and so he can use that metal as a weapon, or his ability is to how should I say his ability is to so how should I say extend claws out of his hands, and so that which are and those claws are the weapons for attacking enemies, and he and when he stretches, when he not stretches, or when he shows, or when he extends, when he extends those claws made of adamantium, so he gets injuries in his own hands. So which is why, so I'm sorry for this sound of maybe automotive bike. Anyway, maybe the sound the sound must be coming from not automated bike, or wait a moment please. So wait a moment please, I forgot how to say that. This I think this is correct English, I think. I don't know whether this is alright or not, but actually maybe this is not. This is not correct English, I think. This is I think the correct English. Motorcycle. I thought how to say this word. I forgot this word. Motorcycle. Motorcycle is what I wanted to say. And in my mother tongue, people say autobike or automated bike is another stuff different from motorcycle. But actually, so so ultimate. Anyway, motorcycle equips, or motorbike equips an engine or motor or stuff like that. Yeah. This is fine actually. And I almost forgot this English word anyway. But actually I could remember, because I'm using smartphone, which is why, so I can retrieve English words easily. And coming back to the original title, original was coming back to the main track of this episode, and Wolverine. And he can use those metallic claws, because he has considerably great healing ability. But actually, so as he gets older, so those healing ability so that healing ability degrades. So which is why he often he grew suffering from aging, which is not aging, or not the denials of ejaculation, but actually aging is what he was suffering in in a movie anyway. So there was such a movie, and I don't remember to start with, maybe I haven't seen that movie actually. And like which, so some people have really high abilities, but actually, so so as they get older, they can they lose abilities to handle or to control those high abilities. I use two types of I was talking about, well, I posted two types of abilities in this episode, and not yeah in this episode, and one which is, for example, in the case of Wolverine, so Wolverine has really a considerably great ability of healing his own physical damages, or his injuries. But actually, so so as he gets older, he loses that healing. He gets degrading healing abilities, which is a situation of of all the Wolverine anyway. And when it comes to so in the course of learning the features of mutants in X-Men, and there's another character who is Professor X. So in the case of Professor X, he lost as he as he as he got older. Mr. Professor X lost the ability to control his own psychic abilities, which led to massacre against mutants, and which means so many mutants passed away because of his psychic his psychic ability without the control of Professor X. The story had been stuff like that, according to Wikipedia. And by the way, so there's a comic book which is so I don't know whether maybe you do not know the name of this comic book, and this is quite famous in among people among people around my age, and that is Rurouni Kenshin. And anyway, I don't tell you the story of this comic book, and that is that. So maybe the yeah this is a this is a comic book whose setting, or the setting of this comic book is set in the end of 19th century or 19th century, or correctly or so strictly speaking, and the year is 1878 according to Wikipedia. It's all right. 1878. I think this can be 1879. But anyway, according to Wikipedia, this says 1878. But actually, I think the era must be. I think the era is 1879. But actually, anyway, the setting of that comic book was set in the end, or in the end of 19th century, and in which, so even before the provocation of the First World War anyway. So there's a there's a character whose name is Kenshin, and he's a wandering person, or no, he's not like a tinker, but actually, so he had before the modernization of this country. So there was really a severe conflicting era, and because there at the time of modernization was a bit before, just before the modernization, there had been civil conflicts in many places in my country, and during which that main character maybe that main character had been an assassin, and he killed many people using his swords, and he was good at using swords, and he was really a great assassin, which is according to the story, maybe Kenshin had been an assassin anyway. And the, there's a there's a name of the manner of using sword, and which is anyway. So if you know this comic book, so Hitemitsurugi you can be familiar to you, and maybe you don't know that, maybe you can't understand what I have spoken about anyway. That is the name of how to use sword, like there's a kendo, or there's a so there's a kendo, which is a practice of how to use sword, and and in the category of kendo, so there are many groups, or there are many branches, or there are many ramifications of how to use swords, and or how to use a sword, and how to use swords anyway. But actually, so there's Hitemitsurugi is one of them, and which is an completely imaginary way of using sword, way of using a sword anyway, actually. And anyway, roughly saying. So what I wanted to tell you with with this example is that 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 manner of using a sword or using swords needs requires the users to have really rich muscles or really how should I say really you know durable bodily structures, which means but actually so Mr. Kenshin the main protagonist had slim body, so which is why so as he grew older, so he lost the ability to use that manner of sword. So which is why so anyway, but actually at the end of that comic book, so he lost the ability to use that sword. That he lost the ability to use that branch of using sword anyway, and like which so there can be all so if you have some special or if you have some extremely great abilities, for example, anyway, so whatever abilities you have, so you sometimes, and there must be for those able people having those extreme abilities, and there must be some works only those able people can do. But actually, so those able people may lose their own abilities in the future. So which is why so maybe I don't think I have to tell you all, but actually, so this time, so as I told you, you shouldn't become people like Wolverine in X-Men, and but actually, so maybe in the story of X-Men, Wolverine could do many things, but actually, so as he grew older, so he lost many works only he could have done when he had been young anyway. So, but actually, there can be there can be such things like those works Wolverine could have done when he had been young. And so this is a test to you, which is what I'd like you to know this time. And you are the only one who can do the work. Of course, if you no matter how you are young, so you get older. If you are humans, and so am I. So I'm in my 30s, and as I grew older, so what happened to me is that I I grew less trouble to the amount of drinking booze. So what I'm saying is that for example, so so I have been I have dr- I have drunk maybe three cans of booze when I was young. When I was young, I had drunk when I was young. I had drunk or I have drunk 3 cans of alcoholic drinks, and each can contained maybe 7 to 9% of alcohol, and I could stand without losing my own consciousness. But actually, so maybe in when I became the how should I say when I became the middle of 20s. I don't know how to say this in English. Anyway, roughly saying when I became in my when I became my late 20s, or when I had been in my late 20s, so I ceased to stand 3 cans of alcoholic drinks, and after beginning to drink the third can of alcoholic drink, I lost my consciousness, and by which I could realize that that is an effect of aging for my which took place in my body, and which is how I could realize that I'm aging, or I'm getting older, and so which is such a amount such a durable amount of, or such a limit containing alcoholic drinks can be influenced by aging or getting older. So which is why, so if for example, if you can stand drinking a lot, if you can stand drinking a lot of alcoholic drinks when you are young, but actually, so as you grow older, you become less trouble, or less, how should I say, less not less trouble, or not impoverished. So you lose anyway. So there's a limit of containing, or accepting alcoholic drinks, or alcohol, but actually, so that limit declines, or that limit decreases as you get older, which is the image, or which is a picture of understanding. I would like you to understand this time. So no, I thought that English word anyway. I don't anyway. So but actually, so maybe you could understand what I wanted to tell you this time, or what yeah, maybe you could understand what I wanted to tell you this time. So I thought that word anyway. There had been a suitable word for explaining this one, but actually I can't remember for now. And anyway, I'm going to end this episode. The title is "You are the only one who can do the work," and the conclusion is you shouldn't become people like Wolverine in X-Men. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. See you. By the way, so I checked out on a dictionary, and I could remember the English word I have forgotten when at the end at the end of this episode. And impervious to, or impervious to alcoholic drink, and which means, so as you get older, so you get less impervious to alcoholic drinks, or the limit of alcoholic drinks you can accept, which is what I wanted to tell you. Or so immune to is what I could remember, but actually, so immune, if I say immune to, but actually, so I don't think alcoholic drink is a some kind of disease, no virus. So which is why, so immune to can, I didn't expect. I didn't think immune to was immune to is a suitable phrase for describing the amount of, or the limit of accepting alcoholic drinks, but actually, so impervious to, which is impervious to alcoholic drinks, or as you get older, or as the aging of yourselves proceeds, you get less impervious to alcoholic drinks, which is what I wanted to tell you. By the way, I made a mistake in the use of clause of Wolverine. So I said clause, which means CROW, but actually that is wrong. So the correct word is clause using CLAW. Or so mistake. My mistake was that I used clause, which is CROW, but actually, so the correct word is CLAWS, clause, which are the weapons Wolverine frequently used, or Wolverine had frequently used